This is the 2017 question 4 video. This one's a lot of writing because we're dealing with 2D arrays, but it's really not that difficult. So this involves reasoning about a two-dimensional array of integers. You will write two static methods, both of which are in a single enclosing class named successors. These methods process a 2D array that contains consecutive values. Each of these integers may be in any position in the 2D array. For example, the following 2D integer array with 3 rows and 4 columns contains the integers 5 through 16, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The following position class is used to represent positions in the integer array. So the notation RC for row column will refer to a position object with row R and column C. So when we make a position object, we're sending it the RC, and the implementation is not known. So first we're going to write a method called find position that takes an integer value. So we're looking for an integer and a reference to the 2D array and returns the position of the integer in the given 2D array. If the integer is not an element of the 2D array, it returns null. So for example, if they're called to find position 8 in the array would return the position 2, 1, because that's where it is. To find 17, it is not found, so it would return it would return null. Okay, so you're going to be returning a position object. Okay, so let's go ahead. This one isn't too bad. So we're going to need to loop through this array. So we're looking for this number. So we're going to say int r equals 0, r less than, the name of our array is int array dot length, r plus plus, and then I'm going to have another loop for column, int c equals 0, c less than int array, and remember you have to indicate a row in the 2D array, dot length, and then c plus plus. Okay, so now I need to make an if statement. So if I'm going to say if at the given location RC in int array, if that value, because I know it's an integer, equals num, then I have found what I'm looking for. So what I need to do is we need to return a position object. So I'm going to return a new position object because that's what I said I was going to return up here at the given row, comma, column. Now, recall that if we do not find the number we're looking for, we're supposed to return null. So remember, for a return statement, I don't really have to make an else, although I could have. If I return inside of this loop, I'm out, so I'm good. So if I don't return anything, the default is to return null. So again, I don't think this was that difficult. It just was a lot of writing. This one's more challenging. So write a static method get successor array that returns a 2D successor array of positions created from a given 2D array. So the successor of an integer value is the integer that is 1 greater than the value. For example, the successor of 8 is 9. So the successor array shows the position of the successor of each element in a given 2D array. The 2D successor array has the same dimensions as the given array, the given int array. Each element in the 2D successor array is the position as a row and a column of the corresponding 2D integer array element successor. So for example, if we're talking about this location, the successor to 9 is 10. So in this mirrored successor array, which is a mirroring of this, it's basically saying, well, 10 is in location 0, 3, so I put the position object in here. Similarly, the successor to 10 is 11. That would be in row 1, column 2, so that's why that is there. So this one is just, like I said, a bit more challenging. You just have to be careful dealing with that next position for the number you're really looking for. So you're supposed to assume find position works as specified regardless of what you wrote in A. So the expectation is that you must use find position. So now you could do this with less lines of code. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to establish the integer variable r that gives me the row dimension and the integer value c that gives me the column dimension of our int array two-dimensional array, because as you recall from what we just discussed, the successor array is going to be the same size. Okay, so I need to create a two-dimensional array of positions. I'm going to call it x equals new position array, and its dimensions then will be r and c. Okay, now I need to loop. I need to loop through the int array, two-dimensional array. So I'm going to say int r, row equals 0, row less than int, well, I guess we could just say r because we know the length. And then we could say row plus plus. And then we need to loop on the columns. So int col equals 0, col less than c, and then col plus plus. Okay, now what we need to do is we're going to store in our array X of position arrays at the location row and column the successor. So if you recall from find position, this is the number we're looking for. So what we want to do is we want to use find position, and the first parameter is a number. So we take int array row column and we just add 1 to it, because remember we want the value that's 1 more. So this is our number 1 higher than what's at that location, and then we're looking for that in the two-dimensional array int array. Okay, and as you recall, find position returns a position object. So we are storing that in this row column location. And that's it, except for when we're all done, we need to return our successor array, which we called X. All right, that's it. Thank you.